you see.
It's the duality. I think most of us want to pay attention to the positive and the good, but
Yeah.
some people just see it for what it is, and some people just pay attention to the darkness, and it's not like it's not there, but
Yeah.
it's like also about what you focus on, and like you expressed, it's just finding that duality, knowing how to live in the gray. 'Cause I feel like, especially
Yeah.
in this day and age, if you don't know how to live in the gray, you know,
Can't get lost,
you're,
man.
you're gonna get lost and your bubble bursted. I mean, with all the priests and the Dalai Lama and everybody
Yeah, man.
it's like for people who really put their trust into one thing, one person,
Right.
you
But it
know.
seems to be, like with, not to get political,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. I ain't trying to get to.
they tend to steer people to be a Democrat or a Republican. You have to be black or white. They put you in these gender, in these different boxes, right? And, I'm not sure that's entirely healthy.
Yeah,
Because it closes we just said boxes, so that automatically means that you're getting closed-minded in the way that you're thinking, right? Because you're in a box.
yeah. And you only want to
Off
see
rip.
what the person next to you, and they right next to you. That's your neighbor.
Question:
Yeah.
stylistically, what would you say your style is when it comes to doing art?
Ooh, that's a good question. Stylistically, crazy thing is, I would probably call myself more of an illustrator, and with being an illustrator, there's nothing that I can't illustrate.
Now that's dope. That's dope. No limitations.
No limitations. So I love art. I love painting is my preferred medium, but I also got a degree in illustration. So
Okay.
illustration is what I've been trained in. It's what I love to do. I can do animation. I can do, I can do photorealism, a little bit of everything. And you ask me, and I'm up to the
So
challenge.
what inspires you? What's the thing? I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot of different things that bring out the art. Is there any one specific thing? 'Cause I see a lot of guys that are motivated by whatever it is, pain. They'll be going through some emotional shit and then they just start painting. Like, like fantastic stuff. And then somebody's like, what's the guy's name that used to do? And it's crazy that I don't remember his name right now. But the guy that used to do the art of the nature scenes, the white guy with the afro.
Oh, you talking about Bob Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so his style was that.
yeah.
And he never really varied too much away from that. And he just created that, and I'm assuming and I remember watching him and I just used to like always feel good watching him paint and
He
do
was a
his
feel
art.
good guy, man.
Yeah.
And I think that I've always admired people who had a style where you could just look at their work and off the bat just be like, oh, that's so and so. Oh yeah, that's Bob Ross. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's dope.
But for me, I think once I do a collection of something
Yeah.
and I've gotten that, you know, expressed and I feel like, okay, I feel like right now just painting black women. And I
Yeah.
paint black women, then I want to move on to something else.
Right.
So as we all know with marketing, you got to do something like over and over and over again, and some people might not even find that
Right.
for another year or so, and you got to still be performing those same songs so that people get. I like to be on to the next, so I like to challenge myself. I might be into floral patterns this week. I might
Keep
be
evolving
into
with it, right?
graffiti next week. I
Right.
might be doing a big project for corporation next month, and so really even with so I guess to answer your question, I also love doing community-based artwork, and with
Okay.
that, it helps having the illustrative background because I want to paint what the community wants to see.
Well, you just said something earlier. You said there's no limitations.
Yeah,
So with some people, they're only going to be able to paint one thing because that's what they can do. You
but
know
they're
what I
gonna
mean?
be known for it.
Right. True. Right. And for you, you just don't have any like anything to keep you any barriers to
No, I
what.
do love to, if you ask me and I had to think about it, like I'm inspired by the melanated, for lack of a better word, black story and all of
Sure.
its shapes and forms. So whether it's on the continent of Africa, whether it's here throughout the diaspora, South America,
Right.
how we show up in Europe, wherever we are.
Right.
And I found this even as I've gotten older. I'm like, oh, in my travels, I only like to go where I know there's a big population of melanated people. Whether it's on the East Coast and bouncing around from Philadelphia to D.C., then to, New York. And once I'm in New York, it's like, all right, I'm gonna be in Harlem, Brooklyn, certain places where I feel comfortable, even if it's a Jamaican or West Indian crowd, even if it's a Nigerian or Tanzanian African crowd. I
No,
still feel comfortable seeing melanated and even depicting it in my artwork, because I feel like that's a part of my story and legacy. So
I can dig that, man.
that's the inspiration.
That's dope. And do you get to travel? Do you
Yeah,
travel
I've done a
along
few
with?
murals in Ethiopia, done a few
Really?
murals in Tanzania, a few murals in Zanzibar. So yeah, man. And then even that, when I do get to travel, and if I'm paying for it,
Yeah.
I want to go to Africa or somewhere where, like I said, there's a group of melanated people where I'm not just feeling like the only one.
Right.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what hydroglyphics is. You have to smoke it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You smoke the white box, your night's over. You may never leave your couch. You smoke the black box. You get so high you'll stay in Wonderland. And I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is that gas, nothing more.
You know,
Tell me a little bit about the project you work. Are you working on anything right now?
working on a few projects right now.
Okay. All right. Do you care to tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it? Or?
So, taking on our first graffiti abatement project with CVS, which, you know, not the biggest bragging, but I'm excited about it because it's like the second model of our youth empowerment,
Right.
where we actually have the youth community come out and we've depicted like youth playing and building up the city of Oakland. So I'm excited about that project with
That's dope.
CVS.
That's dope.
And then more excitement behind. So we also feature. We've worked with probably over 30 visual artists here in the Bay Area and highlighted their work, let them lead projects. Right now, we're working with Zoe Boston. She's a phenomenal artist. Been working with her for probably like 4 years, and she's painting the mural on the biggest residency. So it's about like 100 feet tall by about like 40 feet wide.
Okay.
It's off of Highway 24, so you'll be able to see it from the highway as soon as you pass the Rock Ridge. If you're on 24 and you're leaving out of Oakland and you pass
Right.
that Rock Ridge
Right.
BART on the left, the next exit's the Broadway. If you pass that Broadway and look over on the right, you'll be able to see the mural on the back of the house. So we're excited about that.
You just said coming out of Oakland. I don't know if I asked you if you were originally from Oakland.
Nah,
Where are you from?
Originally, I was born in Virginia,
Okay.
Northern Virginia, right
I'm
on
from the East
Route
Coast
1,
myself,
yep.
actually.
So Alexandria, Northern Virginia, my family still lives out there in Springfield. Went to school, got my degree at Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU. Then moved up to New York, did some artwork, and was a computer lab instructor up in Harlem for about 3-4 years. Moved down to Philadelphia, joined the Philadelphia Mural Arts program, was with them for like 6-7 years before coming out here on a reggae tour, selling my merchandise because I was really more known for my t-shirts and my apparel over on the East
Right,
Coast. So
right.
that was my hustle. I wasn't really hard body into the murals just yet until I got to Philadelphia. And then coming over here to the West Coast in like 2000 and I want to say 7
Okay.
on a reggae tour with some buddies from the Virgin Islands. They were like, yo,
Okay.
can you watch the merchandise tables, sell some of your merch, push some of our CDs while we up on stage? I was like, bet. Everything paid for, and I get to tour around, sell my merch on the West Coast. So we hit everywhere from San Diego all the way up to Eugene, Oregon, and everywhere in between. Oakland was the place that I fell in love with on the tour because it reminded me of Philadelphia, reminded me of the East Coast, and we was in every little pocket in California, Oregon, and I was doing more merch, but I was like, you know what?
Right.
I'm gonna chill here for a second. But it was funny because we was on the same tour, and I ran into a homeboy that I played soccer with in Virginia. I grew up playing soccer with, like until he was like 14, 15. Didn't talk to him again until I'm out here on this reggae tour.
Yo, that's crazy.
He comes stumbling in the front door while I'm setting up the merch, the band about to get started. We in this little rinky-dink town. I'm like, ain't nobody coming out to this show. 20 minutes later, this place is packed.
Packed, huh?
all the growers, because it's right around. They lined the reggae shows up back in the day around harvest time. So everybody got their trim crews, and so basically he comes stumbling in the door, and I'm like, "Yo, I ain't seen you in so long." He's like, "Man, you gotta come and see what I've been doing." I'm like, "Yeah." After the show, I'm setting up the merchandise.
Right.
After the show, he went and showed me his farm. I was like, "Yo," he's like, "Man, I got too much work to do." I'm like, "This looked like fun." He's like, "No, this shit is work, bro." I'm like,
real shit.
he's like, "You want to stick around and help?" I'm like, "For sure, no problem." And I get to smoke.
Done deal, right?
2 weeks into it, I realized that shit was
Really was work, huh?
Right. I'd never seen. So I'd heard, and growing up listening to reggae, I'd heard songs about
Fields of
marijuana
weed and all
boat
that,
and
yeah.
marijuana pay for my car, marijuana.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of herb sellers over on the East Coast. Matter of fact, I knew I did artwork for them.
Right.
But I ain't seen nobody that was really caking up like that.
Right. Right.
It wasn't until I'd actually moved over here to the West Coast and was up north that I actually seen a marijuana tree.
Right.
I'd seen plants over on the East Coast.
Real trees, though.
I'm talking about 8, 10, 12 foot. You got to get up in a ladder to touch to the top. And I'm like,
Yeah, I've seen it, my brother. I've seen it.
this is what cats is singing about and talking about.
Right.
I thought I knew. I ain't
I
know.
had no idea, right?
And this is like a matrix.
Yeah. As far as you can see, type shit. Right. Real shit.
So on that, I moved over to the West Coast really on some herb shit.
Yeah.
So I was kind of just going back and forth,
Yeah.
living by coastal.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, all right, this shit's getting too extensive, and decided to just
Settle all in.
settle in on the West
Yeah.
Coast. So it was like 2007, 2008.
Got it.
Yeah, so
You said something. I don't mean to be jumping around, but
Let's jump.
I'm just like I'm just one of those guys that just where it goes, it goes.
yeah.
But you said something like I was looking at the mural, and you had the phone, and it was an app, and it was some virtual shit going on, and I'm like, what in the hell is this? And talking about it's AR, and I'm like, what is AR? You said augmented reality. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, a couple
Man,
months
what
ago,
is
I was
augmented reality, bro?
I was the same way a couple months ago until my man Damian McDuffie,
Right.
the head of Black Terminus, he put me on. Basically, he's in the tech field, built a whole app around the shit. But AR is basically just how you can create, images, videos in a altered reality. So for a lot of cats that are into the Oculus, the headsets, and you can see it on your phone as well too. Basically, it's just an altered video to
Right.
depict whatever you want to see. Right now, it's crazy. Like, some people use it for video games. Some people use it for artwork. There's no limits to what you can do with augmented reality.
There's a couple things here, and this is like this. It's underlying theme that just keeps popping up, and it's the reality of being innovative in technology.
Yeah.
Innovative in technology, because art's always been innovation, right?
And technology
And technology.
hasn't always been a paintbrush, brother.
Well, that's true. But that's true.
Technology is, people always think it's got to be tech.
Right.
Technology is just the advancement of how, like we creating something that now works and does. And even with the art nowadays, like if I can't, or if I don't design it on my iPad, it might not get designed. Like
Well, my
iPad
point
helps
is that there just
speed
literally
things
is
up.
no limitations
Yeah.
on what people are capable of, because we now have the technology to be able to keep up with the creativity
Yeah.
and innovation on anything that's creative. And so that part of it, we I'm a little bit older. Me and my brother was talking about this other day, is about how the world has changed a little bit. We're living in this world of instant gratification with social media and all that stuff. There's the good and the bad from it. Some of the good is the fact that the technology now, if whatever it is you can conceive, you can literally achieve. We were just listening to Jay-Z's Ambition song before you came over, and so that's them lyrics are stuck in my head. I literally listen to that shit every day, because that's kind of what we're doing. We're manifesting into reality. And even more so now than ever before can people do that. And that's what's amazing. So I'm seeing art from a different point of view and through a different lens now. And you're able to see the world through a different lens.
Yeah.
Because now things are starting to speed up in regards to like how you can think it and then how you can achieve it. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a delayed reality at different points where human beings was like, man, can you imagine being able to do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then being able to do it. Now me and you've lived through the internet era of being able to send information through thin air. Okay, like when I was a kid, just the idea of something like that was like far fetched. It was
No,
like
we had to sit up all night and just ponder
yeah,
what it could be like or what it would look like and
Exactly.
tell stories and just keep each other. Now you can just Google that shit.
yeah.
If you think about it, Google it. Somebody
Google
else
it,
has
you can
thought
know
about
it.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody got a video on it.
So that's what I'm saying. Even with art is
The art with the AI shit is crazy nowadays,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
The AI, you can talk into your phone with the chat GPT and everything. You can describe what you want the art piece to look like, and in 10 seconds, you
done.
can have a black goddess with purple and orange hair and roller skates on just by talking. Like, you ain't even got to paint or draw the joint no more.
So is that good or bad? Is there a bad
Both.
too? Right.
We're going to bring it all full circle because it's about the duality.
Right.
It's bad because now people get that
Lazy?
instant gratification feeling like they are artists just because, like, there's this one lady I follow, all she does is AI art. She don't paint or draw none of it. She talks it into her phone, but she has some of the beauty. It's just black goddesses with purple and green, but the shit is beautiful. It's AI shit. So it's bad because it's like, damn, I can't draw that fast. So it's competition for me.
Right.
But then it's also good because now it really separates the sheep from the goat, because as a muralist,
Yeah.
you can create all the AI artwork you want to and have it on your phone or even do a canvas print. But can you paint that shit larger than life up on the side of a building?
That's the difference.
That's the difference for me. That's where it's like, okay, you do art, cool. Can you do
I
art
do
on this
art.
scale? Can you do it and
I
keep
do
the
art.
proportions and the fades and the shapes and everything
Yeah.
on this scale? AI ain't figured out how to do murals yet.
Right.
So unless you can do, all right, cool. So it's that duality of being able to say like, all right,
Yeah.
if I was just a canvas painter and wasn't really, I'd be intimidated. I'd be like, damn, this AI shit, these people can just talk into a phone, go print it out at Kinko's on canvas and do a whole exhibition
Yep.
in one day.
Dope, man.
In one day.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I can't paint that fast, but I can do murals.
Right.
So it's
Difference.
it's a give and take, and I'll still do some exhibitions, but it's just a whole different world where it's like people want to see some shit they ain't seen before.
Well, it's creating a world of specialization.
Yeah,
Where there's going to be, and this is real talk. They're going to go back and they're going to talk about this particular podcast. Me and you talking about this right here. I just know it.
feel it.
Where they're going to say, hey, remember those brothers when they were talking about?
He was talking about the AI chat GPT back then.
In reality, right? There's a lot of jobs that are going to be, consumed by AI, and if you aren't creative, all you're going to be doing is controlling and monitoring the AI that's doing all your work that you used to do in back in the days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the creatives and those type of people, the specialized people, are going to always have a job.
Yep.
But if you're not really thinking this through, you can get caught up in the wash.
Yep.
Like for real.
That's
And
where you
it's happening faster than we know. I mean, like
super fast, bro.
I would say I'm going to predict within the next 5 to 10 years, AI is going to be in everything, and a lot of these
It already is,
medial
man.
jobs like gas station attendants and working at the grocery store, all that shit. There ain't gonna be no people in any of them places.
Man, it already. I mean, most of the grocery
Isn't
stores
Amazon
already
almost
have
like that now? That they got like a store you can walk in. They got a store. Amazon's got a store you can walk in. Ain't nobody in it, and you
they
just
got
go
your
through there and
stuff.
grab your stuff, and it just charges you as you walk out the door. It's like attached to like a number or signal, whatever. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. But
Right, no,
you get
it's
the
real.
idea.
I did artwork for it's this indoor farm called Plenty.
Yep.
And they talking about, just the future and just how like their indoor farm is a lot cleaner and more sustainable than the soil because it's been contaminated, the air outside.
Right.
And then they got these vertical walls for their farm, and they got these robots with these
Right.
long arms, automated, that just go and tend to the plants, pluck them and plant them when they need to, all robotic.
Right.
And I'm just like,
Right.
can't be mad at it.
Nah, man, it's
you know?
efficient, right?
It's efficient
You know
until
what I
that
mean?
shit
I
don't
get
work
it.
no more. But I mean, yeah. So, yeah, AI and technology is taking over. You know, the art and it's
Cannabis too.
cannabis as well too. I'm about to say it's
I mean, for real. I was just
still got to
telling
be
somebody-
innovative to survive in the cannabis field. Same
No,
way as an artist.
it's becoming more technology based than anything.
That's what I mean by you
the
got to be
plant itself
innovative.
is,
Just having good weed, just having good art ain't it no more.
No, you're right. You're right.
It ain't.
You're right. What's your take on some of this NFT stuff and all that digital stuff? Remember, there was
I
like,
produced some
there was a
NFTs.
hot second where
It was a hot second.
everybody was like, oh, everybody wanted to make
And
an
it's
NFT.
hard because we're not in those boardrooms and in those board meetings to where they're controlling the stock market or the people that are even trying to see it fail, the cryptocurrency is bigger than us. So it's like, the NFTs is cool as an artist to try and tap into. But then I also feel, even when it first jumped off, and I still feel this way, I did a whole magazine article on it. Some people ain't like it, but I feel that honestly, NFTs were created for rich white boys. Like, it's not really,
Yeah.
because we created some, but they ain't sell. They weren't popping. And what were the ones that were popping? The ones that looked like monkeys dressed in hip hop suits.
Right.
The ones that was really kind of like playing off of like urban culture, but like kind of slapping it in the face. And then you find out like who's the ones collecting these? Who's spending the big? Oh, rich white boys that just like to listen to rap songs saying nigga, 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 but would never say it. And those are the ones collecting these NFTs on big money tips. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, and so we are in Broadway, downtown Oakland. Let us know, King, what do we have back here?
Man, so
I know we do have, you did give us a
little
map.
brochure, little
Okay.
map, yeah.
Okay, talk to us about your mural tour.
So basically, we're gonna kick off the mural tour right here at 23rd and Broadway,
Okay.
in front of the Oak Stop. So right here, we're at our very first stop. This is the 3-point celebration. This is when Steph Curry broke the 3-point record. I think it was about a year, two now.
Okay.
We are the Bay Area Mural Program, so everything that we do, we want to make sure that it has like some type of community engagement aspect to it.
Yeah.
Basically, we got to work with Nike, Rakuten, the Warriors to bring you this dope celebration of Steph Curry.
What's the next murals that you would like to show us?
We're going to take a walk down here to the Youth Empowerment as our next stop on our tour, so let's do it.
All right, we're back. We're at the second mural, so talk to us about this one.
Yeah, so this is stop number 2. This is Youth Empowerment.
Ooh.
So we did this during the pandemic.
Oh,
So
Lord.
this one we wanted to do something a little bit more positive.
Yes.
So we chose these 2 students, painted them. We really just loved their expression because in the midst of the pandemic, everybody was, shit was crazy. Ain't
No,
nobody
for
know what to
real.
do. Everybody's 6 feet apart. So we put these children back to back to still show that connection. But we did want to capture their emotion of like uncertainty and also optimism. Just for that moment, we felt like people needed something positive to see. Yeah.
All right, so what's the next mural?
Right across the street, right here.
Huh, Black is beautiful. Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's do it.
So we have justice for our ancestors.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this mural right here.
So
This
this one
very
is
impactful.
a super important one to our organization. Like I said, it was during the pandemic. Still see the 2020 on the mark. I can interpret it for the artists.
Yes, please.
But all 6 of them had their own vision. Like I said, it was, pandemic. So everybody was very emotional, had, a lot on their brain. So I see Zoe, put up all Black Lives Matter. Aaron Batia put the crown up with a lot of his, decorative design, just showing the royalty. Kalani West used some of his abstraction. So for years, cannabis has been like that therapeutic way of just releasing your creativity.
Yeah.
At least for me, I know
Yeah.
a lot of people use it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like cannabis helps as an artist for me to interpret my ideas, people's ideas, to where they don't have to be so far-fetched that I can't bring them down and interpret them into color or into some type of subject. This has also been up since the pandemic. This artwork is tangible, touchable. If somebody don't like it, they can go over the whole shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So even just having artwork that does last, like even when I see this, I'm like, you asshole. But you respected my girl with the line. I mean, with the bird. You put your lettering around the side. You ain't want to go over her. I was like, there's still a level of respect there.
Yes.
So this one I titled "Keep Your Head Up" after the Tupac song. This is how a lot of people were feeling during the pandemic. We were trying to survive.
Yes.
But it's like, you know what? You guys just keep your head up.
Yes.
Art and cannabis can have this relationship, transparently
Yeah.
in the open
Right.
on levels of where, we smoking, the artists, we always smoking.
Right.
But outside of just, that connection behind the scenes as well too, to where why can't some of these big farms or some of these big dispensaries fund major art projects?
It makes sense.
It only makes sense.
Right. And I mean, art is probably one of the best ways to market something there is, right?
And it's non-objective. Like you can't, like even for herb,
Right.
there's a certain limit before somebody calls you crazy at how much you can charge for a nug of weed.
Well, that's true.
Art,
Yeah.
what's the limitation? Depending on the artist, depending on how famous they are. But I've seen
How
simple
rare it
little
is.
strokes go for dumb money.
Right.
Crazy. So it's still to where it's like, yeah, legally, a cannabis company could donate $1 million to our nonprofit
You know what we should do?
and say, you know what, we're going to fund this art, and how can somebody argue that that art isn't worth $1 million?
We should do a cannabis and art conglomeration together.
I'm all for it. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah, right. Real shit. Real shit.
Real talk.
I'm with that, man.
So yeah, I'm definitely, and this is the other great thing with even setting up the nonprofit as a platform for not only for the peers that I work with to take it serious, but also the companies and corporations for them to be able to say, yes, you know what, cannabis and art and money can be in a conversation to where, it can benefit people, not just surface level.
Kind of off topic. What you smoking on over there? Is that something you
Man.
grew, or is that something?
No, I ran out of, man, so
'Cause I remember you was telling me last time I met you. You said you used to grow, or you was around some growers and shit.
I started with the cannabis story. I was up north when I first moved to California, then moved down to the Bay and started doing the artwork until like 3 or 4 years later. But I live in a house of cannabis smokers.
Okay.
So I only grow enough for myself, but now that I have additional, my partner smokes, I got, grown youth that smoke.
Right.
So everything that I grew is already depleted. So I've been leaning on my man Lord Funk.
Okay.
I've been leaning on, the few growers that I even know left.
Right.
But, recently I had to go hit the dispensary, man. So
Hey, I can dig it, man. We all have to do that from time to time.
it's it's the in between season. I'm looking forward to the
Right.
small little grow season that I got coming up, or that everybody's got coming up. Is it's April, so
Right.
everybody looking for those that still utilize the outdoors.
Hey,
I'm
speaking
excited
of
about
outdoors, the weather's getting nice out there.
Man,
So
it's
that's
beautiful.
prime for some projects to start popping.
Bruh, so we've been painting the past 2-3 weeks nonstop just because the weather has been beautiful. I mean, before the weather got nice and it was raining, it was cricket on our ends.
How do you determine locations and stuff?
It's this symbiotic relationship.
Okay.
There's locations that we prefer, that we would like to work.
Yeah.
But it's also about, who's calling us to do the work. So we do a lot of schools. We work at, schools, libraries, anybody. So depending on who calls us for the Bay Area Mural Program, so we work all the way from Vallejo, done murals down in Hayward, across the bridge over in San Francisco, down the peninsula, down to Daly City. So,
How much can something like that cost in time to just take to do it?
man, I tell everybody it takes more time to design than it actually does to paint it,
Okay.
no matter how big it is,
Right.
because it's really just dialing in on the vision.
Right. How do you do that to scale though? That's the thing that's so amazing. Like, how do
I'm
you?
on the mural tour, man. I'll give you all the tricks on the mural tour. I can't
That's just
divulge that on
amazing to me
camera,
though.
right?
So I mean, somebody can just bring like a picture of something, and you can take that picture and make it and put it on a 20-foot wall.
Yep. And I'll determine whether or not I'll freehand it, whether I'll use a projector, or whether I'll squiggle grid it.
That's dope.
And yeah, depending on if it's my style or something I feel comfortable with, I might just freehand it.
Yeah.
But if it's something, a flower that I've never painted or something, or like people that it actually has to look like, iconic people that everybody's gonna say that, I'll use a squiggle grid or use a projector.
That's dope, man.
Takes a little of the magic out of it, but people still love to see a good finished product, is what I realized. So it doesn't even matter how you got there.
Yep.
That thing still got to look like who it's supposed to look like, still got to read the way it's supposed to read,
Right,
still give
right.
people, something to connect to. If not, it's Oakland, man. They're going to tag over top of that shit.
You said something just now that was key. Connect to. And you were talking while we were rolling up off camera about the thing that makes art done by humans unique as opposed to art that's done by AI.
Connection.
Because the collection and the connection between the artists, I'll let you expand on that because I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, man. It's just going back to the AI, the pros and the cons. I feel like, it's a lot of pros and just being able to get work done. I'm not even gonna lie. I've used AI to, simulate ideas that I have just so that I can take it and maybe even tweak it just a little bit. So, it is a tool, it's technology. If you ain't on the cutting edge of technology, you're gonna get left behind. So, we use it for what it's worth. But then there's a real disconnect for people that just lean heavily on the AI.
Yeah.
And then even for collectors, I feel like when people are looking at artwork, there's one level of connection, like, yes, that's beautiful, I love it. Then the next thing you're gonna go to the owner and say, who did this piece?
Mm-hmm.
There's no connection with AI.
Right.
There's no, I know the artist. And I feel like people that actually still, art collectors, people that really spend money on art, not just people that posters and prints, but art collectors, they know the value. They want to be able to say, I know the artist.
You used the words shallow, and you said no substance.
And AI is hollow because there's no creator. It's a robot who created it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's beautiful at first sight, but to go to an exhibition all done by AI would be great in appearance. But then when everybody in the room's like, who created the artwork? And it's like a robot. I feel like instantly it's lost. If you take that piece home and put it on your walls, you don't get to brag about meeting that person who sweated and toiled and wrestled with concept. That's one of the things I love about painting and art. It's problem solving. Mathematical, geometric shapes, the faces, everything I got to break down into shapes and symbols to really be able to figure it out. If I don't get that ear right, it's because the shape and it's just not in there. So really it's problem solving. So I love that wrestle, and I feel like people can feel that wrestle, when they look at a good piece of artwork. And with AI, if you can just talk into GPT and get your artwork in like 10 minutes, there was no wrestle.
Right.
There was no dance.
So that's really what you're paying for.
That's what I'm paying for.
Right.
For my own therapeutical release, my own dance, my own expression, and hoping that people can connect with it.
No, man, I can dig that really.
I don't even know if AI can say that. I hope people can connect with my work.
Someone can articulate AI to say it,
but there's no blood, sweat, and tears behind it. Like, when I tell you about my work, when I meet you in a gallery, when I meet you in these streets, and I got paint all on my stuff, and I got to tell you I got to go pick up my baby, and you feel the blood, sweat, and tears behind, like, wow, you know what? He did this piece of artwork that I now own and barely had time to get it done, and has expressed so much pain and da-da-da-da-da and color and excitement and joy. This is why I fuck with it.
right?
That's the difference, I feel.
You mentioned that you mentioned collections.
Yeah.
You said that you have several collections that you do, and do you how do you come about like What's the creative process behind some of those collections?
If it's not commissioned, then it's really whatever's inspiring me at the time.
Okay.
Even while my, last son, who's almost 2, while mom was pregnant with him, couldn't really go too far. Was really feeling her feminine energy. Wanted to challenge myself and was like, you know what? I'm gonna paint flowers. I just did a whole series of tropical flowers, California native indigenous flowers. Just found all the different series of flowers and put them together and just like different painting, series in my own style. A little paint drip here and there, but
Right.
just getting comfortable with painting flowers. And it's funny because while I was in Philadelphia, the first gallery show that I did, it was with this Haitian woman named Florisy Morissette. Shout out to Florisy. I think she's out here in Silicon Valley doing big things in the tech world now. But she had a gallery in Philadelphia, and she came up to my studio in Germantown. Matter of fact, about to go to Philadelphia and do another project this summer. So shout out to Philly. But she came to my studio and she saw all of my artwork, and I was really heavy in my, Rasta culture. So everything was like red, gold, and green, and, brothers holding fists and, trinities. And so she was like, I love the work, beautiful colors, but do you paint women? Do you not like women? And instantly I was like taken back and almost insulted. I was like, what do you mean? You don't see my children? You don't see my girl?
Right.
And I was like, I'm looking at my work through her viewpoint and her eyes, and I was like, there's no women in my artwork. She was like, do you paint flowers? And I looked around, there was no flowers in any of my artwork. And I was like, I can paint those things. I'm an illustrator. I can illustrate whatever I want. I just don't want to, discriminate. I mean, I don't want to
She challenged you.
she challenged me because I love women, but I didn't want to paint women and subjectify them in a way to where, everybody just wants to see titties and ass and just have them, just mouth out. So I was like, you know what, I'll fall back from even painting women. And flowers, I was just like, I love flowers, but I ain't really into flowers. She was like, well, listen, if you're going to show in my gallery, the 2 number 1 things that sell in the world are paintings of women and flowers. And I was like,
And she dropping dimes on you.
I want to show you guys. Yeah. Bruh, I started painting flowers and
Yeah, right.
for her show. I, painted, women with flowers in their hair, and they actually sold. And that's
Right.
where she changed the game for me, where I'm like, all right, if I want to call myself an illustrator,
Could do a little bit
I
of
got to
everything.
be able to draw and illustrate everything, not just what I want to draw.
That's dope.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned a little bit about your family. You said you have kids. Are they artists also, or no?
They creatives. I wouldn't really,
Creatives?
yeah.
Okay.
They all, my oldest is at Howard University.
Dope.
And
Congratulations.
man, I appreciate it. Yeah, he into the Photoshop and Procreate, so he do a lot of digital art, but he's more on the music side. So he's, teaching himself bass and
thing.
keyboard, and so he just wants to learn music.
Right.
He don't want to be a big performer. So he just wants to learn, and I can respect that. To
Dope.
me, music and art is, like I said, it's that problem solving. Even for yourself, it's a study. And people who don't want to actually take the time to study, whether it be art, whether it be cannabis, whether it be music, you can love it and appreciate. I feel like that's the first level of studying. It's just that genuine
man.
appreciation.
Bro, this
But
is
then you
full
gotta go
circle.
deeper.
This is full circle, man. Because I was on the podcast with my man Tucky Blunt, man, and he was talking about just education being like the
You gotta
key,
study,
you know what I
man.
mean, and in just in all realms though. And
Whatever it is, you gotta study.
we're talking about primarily cannabis and education around cannabis and in all those
Yeah.
those things, but it's the same exact
Same in
premise.
art. You gotta, just do it and you call it your style and don't look at nothing and just go off the dome. Great, beautiful. Eventually, you're gonna have to study.
Right.
In order to get this thing, in order to really be on the journey,
great,
you got to study. You got to study what is greatness. You got to study the greats. You got to study people who weren't great. You got to just study. Even in the cannabis, it's like you can grow weed, you can market weed, but you got to study.
Yeah.
What is the best way to do this thing? Who has done it already to where I don't have to recreate the wheel unless I'm trying to really. But even if you want to be that brainiac and create your own strain, create your own style, you gotta be in the lab. You gotta be studying and producing and tinkering and working and like it's gotta be a whole problem solving activity for you day and night.
Though that's real, bro. You really like broke it down. You know what I'm saying? Like in all aspects.
That's my life. I was on a mural with the community doing a community project, and this girl see me jump up on the scissor lift and go paint up high and then come down and work with the community. And I didn't even realize she was looking and studying me because she wants to be a muralist as well too, but she had never,
Right.
And she was like, I came down off the lift and she just, as I was walking by, she's like, you really love this art, don't you? You like, this is all you do. And I stopped for a minute. I was like,
You say you almost probably felt insulted a
I
little
was
bit.
like, nah, I got family. And I thought about it. I was like, as a young artist, yes.
Yeah, you actually
all
right.
I
Yeah.
do. And that's what, like, if you love this shit,
Yeah, and it's the same like
Just
with
do it.
guys that are athletes, and like Kareem Mayfield's on the podcast. He's a host, right? You know, and we were just kind of talking about that last. You have to have a sense of obsession in your
it's
craft
crazy. You do.
to be great at anything. You know what I'm saying? And even if you're talented, you still have to be obsessed with it. You know what I'm
Kobe
saying?
was talking earlier,
Yeah.
4 a.m. in the
Yeah.
gym.
Just
Like,
obsessed.
you got to be obsessed in order to really, because there's
great.
so many people there's so many basketball players, there's so many artists, there's so many growers, there's so many, which is a beautiful thing.
Right.
I love to say that I have community, even with like Oakland. The amount of artists that I know,
Yep.
it's just, I'm like, damn, I know like hundreds of painters and visual artists, which gives me support. But then I'm like, oh, I got to be on top of my shit because I'm not
Yeah.
just the only one, which I love. I'm like, okay, I can't just get comfortable and just paint a flower or even paint a black face and be like, yeah, nah, there's a whole bunch of people that can paint, black goddesses and little sisters and brothers with fists. And like, no, you got to still make that thing funky. You still got to make it creative.
So, is that the advice that you have for young and up and comings to, make sure that they're obsessed about their craft and study it? I mean, what would you say to?
So I work with people in the art field, like schools. It all depends on what you want out of it.
Okay.
I worked with Liberty High School, and there's this young girl. She's probably about 15. We're working on a mural at her school. She's already got a book deal to do illustrations for. She on the
that's dope.
phone. She's kind of even giving instructions to the rest of the class, like she's running a marketing firm. Okay, you three work on this. I want you guys to do the color scheme. I'm like, you get it, little sis.
Yeah.
For her, I'm like, in order to be great, you have to be obsessed with this thing. And I already see you have that obsession. But even when you get deterred, if you want, like, you got to still stay on that path.
Right.
For some people, I tell them, you don't have to be the greatest artist. As I've gotten older, a lot of my workshops that I do with younger people,
Right.
I'll come and lead a paint or art workshop, but it's not to inspire you to be a great artist. Because not everybody's going to be a great artist. Really, art is to inspire you to just be great. So, any and everything that we have, from our Jordans to our clothes to watch to our cars, had to be designed before it was created, right? So Steve Jobs, before he created the iPad, he had to go to an illustrator or artist and say, I got this crazy idea.
Right.
It's a little handheld box. It needs to look like this. The apps on it's going to be here, here, here. Somebody has to draw and design and lay all that shit out. So even for young people who don't necessarily have to be the greatest art, be a great thinker.
Right.
Whatever, and we were talking about
That's
earlier,
being- that's
whatever
being-
you can think of,
Being creative is is using your
build on that and create that. It might sound far-fetched to a lot of people. But if you have, your obsession and your studying faculties, and you on to something, do that shit. Because there's gonna be a lot of people be like, no, I love my family, even, but my father, nobody wanted me to be an artist. We grew up in, it's like, man, artists is gonna be struggling.
Yeah.
Artists are on drugs. They a little funny.
Right, right.
Oh, I got all that shit. Like, if I let that deter me from being an artist, I don't know where I'd be. I'd be doing some other shit.
Well, I guess that's kind of the same for a lot of these people or creative types that, society says that you should do this, where your spirit, motivates you to do something else, you know. I'm not sure we can close it out on anything better than that.
It's not a problem that I can't fix, because I can do it.
Yeah, baby, I'm like
On the next episode of Inhale Exhale, it's all about the music with my man, Lord Funk X.